Hello, Village Gamers. Happy to have you a little bit late tonight, but that's that kind of usual for us, unfortunately. I know, sorry about this. I hope you had a great week. As you can notice, it's only Adam and I today because Korean is off in South Africa to see the family. I believe he won't be with us next week as well. So, just us. Sorry about this. And with that said, again, if you could, like, subscribe and share our video, it really helps. Thanks a lot. We are at 1700 subscribers now, so that's really good. Thank you very much. And with this, Adam is gonna take the first story. Oh, forgot to say, we're gonna have a joint story on Assassin's Creed Shadows. So if you want to listen to this, stay a little bit more. We're gonna start first with our two lesser story. And Adam is gonna explain to you why League of Legends is not gonna work on PlayStation anymore. No, wait, that's not exactly that, but go ahead.
Who knows? Maybe it would. So basically, PlayStation is rolling out a new feature. They're calling it the nudge feature. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to allow people to basically think again if they're going to send something that's either offensive or inappropriate. So the way that this feature is going to work is when you send somebody a message through PlayStation or through the PlayStation Network, it's going to have, some kind of AI or filter or whatever, and it's going to read your message. And if your message is perfectly fine, it's just going to send it on to whoever is supposed to receive it. However, if it does notice that there is some sort of problem with your message, if there's some sort of inappropriate language, or it seems offensive in some way, or somehow seems problematic, what it's going to do is it's basically just going to pop up and say, are you really sure that you want to send this message? And it's going to give you a chance to go back and edit it. So, it's going to basically say, there's something wrong here. You might want to double think this. And so then what you can do is you can edit the message and try to send it again. And again, if it's still, deemed as offensive, it would again flag it. But if not, then it'll send it on through. And if it does send the message on through, then basically it didn't flag anything that it saw as inappropriate. And therefore, basically the message just, it's done. There's no more moderation going to be done on that. However, if you want to, you can actually just go ahead and say like, nope, I want to send the message as is. I don't care if I offend somebody, or I don't care if it's a problem. Or if you just say, you know what, I was misflagged. There's nothing wrong with this. It's perfectly fine to just send it on through, and it will send it on through. But if you do choose to do that, and the person who receives it, sends a message saying, hey, I received this offensive email or whatever, if they basically report it, then you will be, up to moderation by a person at PlayStation, or, a moderator or a content advisor or whatever. Somebody's going to review that thing, and then you could get a ban or something like that. So it's kind of a way that I think it's kind of a way to, trying to make PlayStation a friendlier place for people. But also it's kind of a way, I think, to alleviate some level of, people getting, complaining about auto bans, or people complaining about, why was I banned? Because a lot of places will have these auto bans where if you use a certain language or use certain words, it'll just either, filter out the message entirely, or it'll, just auto ban people, and they're like, wait, why did I get this? And then you have to go to review, and then they're like, oh, hey, they have to double check it, and it might take them weeks to do it. And if you're banned for like a week, and, it takes them 7 days to review it, and they're like, oh yeah, actually you didn't really do anything wrong. Sorry about that. We'll release your ban. It's like, well, I would have been done in a day or two anyway. So I think this is just a way to maybe alleviate some of the pressure off of the review process. And so, yeah, it's basically just saying, if it doesn't get flagged, then if somebody reports it, it's like, well, we checked it and it didn't seem to have any problems. So, sorry, we didn't see any problem initially. That's on us, So I think that's kind of the reasoning, is to kind of alleviate that process, and maybe help some people who feel that, maybe, and then this is an alternate way, instead of just being straight up banned, it's just saying like, hey, you know what, review this a second. Think about this, for a second. Do you really want to send this, or is this really what you want to say? And no harm, no foul, right? It didn't go through. So if you change it and it's fine now, then, why bother, doing anything with it? We'll just let it go. So this is going to have a limited rollout. It's initially going to be in the US and the UK. However, it's not really known when they're going to deploy it. So it is coming out at some point in the future, but we're not quite sure when. And it does seem like it's going to be only in those two countries, and it is going to be limited there in the sense that it might not be for every case right away. So, if you do report somebody, you might still get, reviewed or whatever. But this is something that they're going to be trying to do. So, yeah, just a way to moderate places and make it a little friendlier for people and, have people get along a little bit better. On top of that, they are also trying to try Steam-like reviews. So in Steam, when you play a game, you can review the game, you can write a little blurb about it, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. It looks like PlayStation is also trying that, but they're doing it a little bit differently than the way Steam does it. So with Steam reviews, anybody can review the game. And then it'll tell you, did you get a free copy of the game? Were you, did you buy it? But this one's a little bit different in that the way it seems to work is it's not anybody can write a review, it's invite only, and those invites seem to be based on playtime. So, if you're somebody who's only played the game for about 2 hours, you're not likely to get an invite, but if you've played a game extensively, maybe 20 hours, 30 hours, it's not really clear what the time limit is, but, if you've played a game for an extensive amount of time, then, it'll allow you to review the game. So it's kind of interesting to see. I think on the one hand, it is a little bit biased because, if somebody's putting a lot of time into the game, they're probably really enjoying the game. So you're probably not going to get too many negative reviews from somebody that's put 50 hours into a game. But it is kind of interesting. And in a way, I think it is maybe their attempt at trying to avoid review bombing, which is something that we do see on Steam quite often, especially recently. If people aren't happy with whatever, with decisions made by the developer, maybe there's not a problem with the game directly, but maybe there's a decision made by the developer will cause review bombing, or, maybe the game is not running on certain hardware. Maybe it runs in most cases, but in some cases it doesn't run on certain hardware, or it doesn't run as well on certain hardware, and it gets review bombed. So it's not always just the game itself, whether the game itself is actually good or bad. It could be anything related to the game that people like or don't like. So it seems like maybe this is a way to avoid that, where, it's only for people that have been playing the game rather extensively. But I don't know. We'll see if that turns out. I know they've had the star system for a while, where people can give a game a rank, I think that's up to 5 stars or whatnot. So they've had that for a while, but I mostly ignore that. I think most people probably do. I usually go other places for my reviews, but yeah. But what do you guys think about this this nudge system? Do you think it's a good system? Do you think it's kind of silly? I don't know. What do you think, Antoine?
On principle, it's always like this. Like on paper, I really think it's very interesting because toxic community just, like I really want to play League of Legends. I just don't want to be pestered by, like bad comments like this because, we say it often, but words hurts, like you don't want to keep playing when people are calling you trash or whatever. That's how it is, and I really think it's interesting to have this system. However, I can really, really see on the other hand the amount of families, brothers and sisters, calling the others like, you a-hole, you did this. Okay, report, clack, and banning each other on the family. I can see it happen like all the time. So that's gonna start some family wars. I'm telling you. I don't do any divination or anything, but 100% sure on that. That's gonna be fun. Otherwise, no, great system. Like anything to render the community less toxic. Maybe it's gonna quiet down some, rage or haters or whatever. So no, I do like this system. I really hope it will work.
Yeah, and that was excuse me there. Yeah, and that was one of the things that they actually showed on the they had like a little picture where it showed basically what it would look like. And one of the things that they actually said was for certain chat groups, you could say, never flag a message in this chat group again. So, for example, they had a picture of 2 friends, and the one guy's like, "Hey, you ready to play this game tonight?" And the other one's like, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you." And then they respond with like, "Oh man, playing with you sucks," you know. And then it was like, "Oh, this might offend somebody," and they could click it and say like, "No, no, no, this is a friend." They know that I'm just messing with them. So that way you're not getting every single message flagged saying, like, so you send it and it's like, "Are you sure you want to send it?" "Yes, I want to send it." And the next time, "Are you sure you want?" "Yes, I want to send it." You don't have to do it every time. You can just set a certain group to be like, "You know what? Just send me whatever. Just everything I say, just send it straight away." But that does mean that if your friend decided to report you, they could. So
Okay, but that's good because yes, that's one of the things I was thinking when you're good friends, you can say some words like this, and you don't really want to have to double click each and every time, so it would be a pain. So no, that's good.
yeah.
That's very good. And with this, I'm gonna go to my first story. So, question for you: do you believe in second chances in the video game industry?
Yes.
Truth is, yeah, well, it's very tough. It's very, very tough. But yes, as you said, we do have examples. Final Fantasy 14, Cyberpunk, they did have terrible launch or terrible starts, but they were able to build on, on their second iteration of the game or, after fixing stuff. They're able to do great. Like, look at Final Fantasy 14 is doing fantastic. Cyberpunk was great. Um, DLC did the Game of the Year, or maybe or was nominated at least. So this game did great. But second chances in video game, like Ask Concord, for instance, it doesn't always work. And that's my story for today. Like after a very complicated start back in 2024, there was a game called Nightingale. I don't think like a lot of people saw it, but the Nightingale developer called Inflection Game is doing his best to revive the game. So if you have not heard of this game, like actually I didn't heard of it despite the fact that I kind of like the genre. It's an open world, Victorian survival crafting game. The Victorian being the differentiator with all of the other. That means that from the start it goes against heavyweights like Enshrouded, Palworld, Valheim, etc., etc., etc. Yes, there's many games in this segment. Um, the Victorian aspect of the game being the little differentiator, but it didn't work very well at launch. Why? Exactly why you expect, right? So it's an early access launch at full price, I think, and I didn't see the full price, but I think it was in the $40 Canadian, something like this. And the title suffered major server issues, and it was only an online game. There was no offline mode. So imagine you launch your game and then you are on the 5 or 10 FPS. Yes, that wouldn't work very well. Um, and so that was, an early access game. So usually when you start playing this, when you have these big banners, early access, it's not the finished game and everything. Usually you are more forgiving, let's say. Even with this, between this very poor performance, the AI, which apparently was really not optimized as well, he had mixed review on Steam. And because it has mixed review on a very competitive market, it didn't really work. So when you have a game like this, where this developer or the developing team really wanted to make money with it. So what do? You just put it in the bin, try to do something else, or you try to restart. So what do you do after such a big false start? Well, first of all, since the start of the game, they did a lot of improvement, a lot of updates. First of all, they did add an offline solo mode, which is great, for people like me. And they added plenty of optimization, which of course was very much needed with the servers and content. And you can see really the progress, the improvement from the reviews, because all the reviews overall is still mixed. But if you look at the latest reviews, it really start to increase, and now it's mostly positive. Mostly positive. It's not positive, overwhelmingly positive, but it's climbing up, right? So it's good, but they need more reviews to get a better rating. So what did they do? They simply put a free demo on Steam. So it's a game which was early access for about a year, more or less, and it was always paid. Here now you can play a free demo on Steam to see the progress. Like if you are interested into it, but you saw the mixed reviews and like, there's so much more of the other similar type of game for me to play. Why would I bother with this one because of the mixed review? Well, now you have an excuse. It's free, like when you have a free game on the Game Pass, and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I would like it, but you know what? Let's. I pay for the Game Pass. At least let me play some games. Well, here's the same. You have the demo. Try it out. And if you like it, because that's all the point of this campaign, if you like it, they are giving you a 40% discount on the game until March 31st. So for me, it's March 24th. So you have less than a week, more or less than a week to try the game. And if you like it, buy the game. Because once again, it's early access. It's at $24, I think, 40% off in Canada. So Canadian dollar. I think $15-17 US. I don't know if there's gonna be a rise on price between full price early access and game release, but if it arrive at $50-60, something like this, it's better to take it right now. So again, my advice, and definitely I'm gonna take my own advice, play with my son, because we really do like to share this kind of games together. Grab your best umbrella and fly away into Nightingale, because yeah, you don't have like kind of Zelda little wing on everything. Over there you have the umbrella, remember, Victorian period. So that's it. So looks interesting. Try it out, and give me your comments. Do you like it? Did you play the earlier version, which was really not good, and do you see the improvement from start, or are you a new player like me and do you like it? Just give us your comments, and let's see what you think. So Adam, did you hear about this game Nightingale before?
I feel like I might have heard about it, but I don't really. Nothing about it really looks all that familiar. I think I'm confusing it with a different game. So yeah, no, I don't think I was too aware of this one.
Yeah, no, once again, many games like this. So imagine, Valheim was the Nordics, the Vikings. Nightingale, in case, and I don't want to insult anyone there, in case you don't know what's a Victorian period, that would be far more like, imagine the British, with a cup of tea and little umbrella and stuff like that. That's it.
Yeah.
I really associate more this with steampunk.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah, steampunk is usually Victorian.
Yes, exactly. But in this case, apparently it's not. But like good base building mechanics, all this kind of stuff. I read in the comments good lore, lot of lore, which usually is lacking, in this sort of game, like Palworld, for instance. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna try that. And with this, it's going quite fast because we started only 20 minutes ago, but we're gonna already finish with our last combined stories. We didn't, so we have the same story, Assassin's Creed Shadows, of course. We have two different angles, and we didn't actually choose who would start first. So Adam, what do you think? You ready to go start first?
Sure, I can go first if you want. Yeah, why not? Okay, so as we know, Assassin's Creed Shadows released just recently, and it's been doing pretty well. It hit 1 million players within the first week or so, doing pretty well. However, it has not been received in Japan quite as well as it has been received elsewhere in the world. Obviously, part of that is due to accusations of insensitivity towards Japan and Japanese culture. Use of a one-legged torii gate and collectibles at one of their festivals, or not a festival, but at one of the promotional events, they displayed a sword, which they said this is Yasuke's sword from the game, when it was in fact Zoro's sword from One Piece that had been bought on Amazon. They used a flag of a Japanese historical reenactment group without permission, and now there's a certain romance option in the game, which people are not very thrilled about in Japan. But this is a more tangible issue. This is more of a real world thing. So basically, Ubisoft is about to release a patch that is going to make it impossible to destroy shrines in the game. You're not going to be able to go into a shrine and smash up chairs or displays or anything like that, which you could initially do. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. And that is in response to something that came up in the Japanese government. So basically, a Japanese politician named Hiroyuki Kada, I'm not quite sure the pronunciation of that. I apologize. He said, I fear that allowing players to destroy real world locations in the game without permission could encourage similar behavior in real life. Shrine officials and local residents are also worried about this. Of course, freedom of expression must be respected, but acts that demean local cultures should be avoided. So basically, he said, these are cultural icons. They should not be allowed to destroy them. That's not a good thing. And I'm worried that this could reflect, badly in real life. And to that, the prime minister responded, how to address this legally is something we need to discuss with the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Defacing a shrine is out of the question. It is an insult to the nation itself. When the self-defense forces were deployed in Samawa, Iraq, we ensured they studied Islamic customs beforehand. Respecting the culture and religion of a country is fundamental, and we must make it clear that we will not simply accept that and disregard them. So my initial response when I heard that was like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. People playing Assassin's Creed are not going to go in and smash a shrine. That's dumb. And then I realized, oh, wait, TikTok is a thing. So then, yeah, I mean, we've seen like recently there's the case with, what was that? What's the streamer, Johnny Somali or whatever, and he was in South Korea initially, and then he went to Japan and he was harassing people, and now he's on trial, I think, in South Korea, right? So yeah, they have had a problem with streamers trying to reenact events that they see, like creating basically memes. Like, oh, I saw this thing in a game, I'm going to reenact it and put it up for views. And when I thought about that, I was like, oh yeah, actually this makes a lot of sense, because I can definitely, and my first rational thought is, of course, this is ridiculous. Violent games don't make people violent, right? Or watching, that's not a thing. But then I realized, like, no, wait, people recently, especially with the rise of these sort of things, do that. And then I was like, yeah, actually, this is a legitimate concern, I actually think. So he's got a point. And this is in the wake of actually a lot of events like this have been occurring. So post-pandemic, the Japanese yen has been pretty weak, and that's actually encouraged tourism, because, it's like, hey, we want to go to Japan. We haven't been able to go for a while, and it's cheaper to go. So let's go to Japan. So there's been a boom in tourism recently. But with that boom, vandalism and graffiti is on the rise. For example, the Wataizumi Shrine, which is located in Tsushima, or on Tsushima, the island, was actually featured in the game Ghost of Tsushima. They renamed it in the game. They called it the Scarlet Rock Shrine. But that is based on a real shrine in Tsushima. And, after a typhoon destroyed or, partially wrecked the shrine, then fans of the game, they crowdfunded and they raised money to help repair the shrine. So, gaming can help the thing. But recently, they had to put out a notice saying, due to some violent tourists, they had to, put a sign on a parking lot to prevent tourists who were, driving over from Korea specifically. They had to put a sign out there to prevent them from coming in. And then now they had to put out a statement saying, starting today, Sunday, March 23rd, entry into the shrine grounds will be prohibited to anyone other than parishioners and worshippers. In addition, all photography, videography, and live streaming of the shrine buildings and structures, including the underwater torii gate, will be prohibited. In addition, we will refuse entry for tourism purposes, including domestic and international bus tours. On Saturday, March 22nd at around 4 p.m., an extremely serious and unforgivable act of disrespect was committed by a foreigner at our shrine. We have consulted with the City Hall, the Nagasaki Tourism and Products Association, and the Nagasaki Prefectural Police on a number of occasions, but have not been able to reach a resolution. In addition to the unbearable mental anguish that all the staff members are enduring because of the sacred grounds being desecrated, the repeated verbal and physical abuse directed at staff members has left us feeling that the operation of the shrine is in jeopardy. The way in which inbound tourism is destroying the places, things, and people that Japanese people hold dear is nothing less than a collapse of Japanese culture. And that comes from shrine officials. So basically they said, people who are coming to worship, this shrine has, the local gods or whatever. If you're coming to worship, that's perfectly okay. If you're a tourist who just wants to come, please don't come. and any kind of live streaming, photography. You know, if you just wanted to take a picture, you can't. Sorry, we're just banning that outright, simply because you know we don't want to attract the wrong crowd of people. We want people who are here to respect the shrine, and you know we're sorry if you're a tourist and you do respect the shrine, but we're not taking any chances because we've had too much trouble. So yeah, so this has clearly been an issue as of late, and so I can see why the Japanese Prime Minister and this other politician addressed this issue. And you know, good on Ubisoft for patching the game so so as to, I mean, yeah, to not encourage that. So you know, good on them. But yeah, what's your take? And you have you're taking this from a different angle, but do you have a take on the closing of the shrine or anything like that?
Well, first of all, big clap, big sarcastic clap for the idiots who, like deface a shrine. It's about the same kind of idiots who tag, graveyard. It's disrespectful, and well, I have little hope for the 1% of humanity which is extremely stupid. Anyway, I'm not surprised by such act. In any case, I'm gonna attack on a different angle, which is simply something that we have talked about several times in on this show. That is as any wrong advertisement for a game, right? And Shadow, it has been what, months, maybe years of controversies with people saying, it's gonna blow up, it's gonna be crap because it's woke, because it's blah 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 blah. And the question is, okay, because of all this bad advertisement, will the game do well or not? And we have seen several examples, like Harry Potter, for instance, or other games. Controversy, boycott this game, etc. And they did great because of all the extra marketing and image. So it doesn't always work. Look at Snow White in cinema right now. It's totally bombing. But in video game, at the very least, it does work. So, not fantastically, don't worry, I have some numbers. But I'm gonna start with, was it fine for everyone to spit at a game which wasn't out yet, which has been delayed a few times, as we all know. But let's review some fair numbers. Game rent, a 9 out of 10. Assassin's Creed Shadow is a spectacular return to form for the franchise, delivering one of the series' more tightly focused historical adventures. I can't speak, sorry. But Steam, 9 out of 10. IGN, 8 out of 10. Great! By sharpening the edges of the existing systems, Assassin's Creed Shadow creates one of its best versions of the open world style it's been honing for the last decade. As you can see, you can spit on a game as much as you want. Play it first to see if it's good or not. Your opinion doesn't matter. Play it first, see if it's fun. That's what it is. If you could put the nudge system, the PlayStation nudge system, like Adam speak, on your thoughts before you start saying stupid stuff, that would be fantastic. I might be very sarcastic, but I really mean it. So, other numbers. 3 days after launch, Shadows have apparently, so it's not official number, right? Keep it in mind. Apparently has sold 310,000 copies on Steam, with 2 million actually players across all platforms. So overall, it's behind Valhalla, which is weird in a way, but remember that usually Assassin's Creed and Valhalla is released just before, like some holidays, so it sells a lot. In this case, it has been delayed and delayed, so it really came out literally out of nowhere, after spring break, before big holidays. So that might be one explanation as well. But it's still, one of the most successful launches in the series. It's far ahead of Star Wars Outlaws. It's far behind the big title like Monster Hunter Wilds, for instance. So let's wait for more official numbers. It's not doing bad, far from it. It's not doing bad. But for now, it's not the big success that Ubisoft really needs. And I haven't played the game. Sorry about this. So I, same as in previous game before, right? I went through Steam comments, Steam reviews, try a bit of the pros, a bit of the cons, and check, what people say. So if you have a very good computer, it really says that the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Lighting is great. The environment is a huge step up from previous titles. Uh, Sorry for the name. It's Naoe, or the lady Kunoichi, not Ninja Kunoichi. Her gameplay, the weapons, the fighting system is extremely solid and very good. Uh, Apparently, and it's from what I understand, some kind of consensus. Forget about all the work and stuff, being very objective, okay? There. From the comment I saw, the girl's combat is much better apparently than the guy. Maybe because she's more like stealthy, because apparently the stealth system really work. So maybe it's less in your face. Maybe that's why. I don't know. If you have a good comparison of the two gameplay, just tell us in the comment. I'd be very interested to see why one is better than the other. There's an interesting progression system, good animations. Apparently, the map is far less overloaded with little markers than before. Interesting quest, and the hideout building apparently is very good. On the other side, so again, this one I've seen that the story is either completely abysmal and one of the worst of the franchise, and on the other side, yeah, well, there's a lot of cliches, but that's still good. Overall, from what I see, it doesn't look like the story is very breathtaking. And that's a big no for me because I play not for the gameplay, but really for the story. So, also, what did I see? Apparently, the world being dead, like there's zero interactivity with the player whatsoever. Cutscenes doesn't look very bad. I saw a lot of things about the English dub. The English voice acting apparently, I've saw it several times, is terrible. A big Ubisoft thing, microtransaction on cosmetics. I mean, I'm playing Tales of, and I'm playing, like Japanese RPG, so I see the set of cosmetics, on sale, which I'm always like, why would I buy that? It doesn't improve my gameplay, doesn't improve anything, just it's barely cosmetics. So honestly, for me, I don't really care. But I understand from the fact that when I play Ghost of Tsushima, one of the main things is that it was absolutely great to have all the different, set of armor. If these were, if you had to pay for it, I would have been mad. I would have been raging. So we know it's a Ubisoft thing to do microtransaction. It's still absolutely terrible. You just learn from it, Ubisoft. Don't do that. Unless you can pull a shit saying, yeah, look, you say don't do that, but it actually brought us that much amount of money. If, the financial cons really overweighed the rage of your of the fan base, you me to say continue, but like overall we don't like that at all. And something which is a bit sad, and I would like you guys to tell me if it's true or not. People say that exploration is non-existent. So, in the fact that every town you enter feels the same, and you just loot some stuff for your hideout, and that's it. That's basically a gameplay which repeat over and over and over and over, and it's not very interesting once you have done it. Okay, maybe I can hear it. Again, if you felt that in a comment, if you felt that, please tell me in the comment. If you feel that this comment is completely wrong, we accept as well. The only comment we don't accept is the insulting one, because we don't have the PlayStation system to nudge you to say, that's not a nice comment. Please rethink before you post. Which basically means if you put trash, we delete it automatically. That's basically what it means. And yes, so I'm very interested. Of course, you may or may not know me, but I would never buy a game on day one at, I think it's 80 or nearly $90 Canadian, so it's very expensive. I would, of course, wait 6 months or maybe November for Black Friday when, like all the patches and additional content would be there and at a discount. That's how it is. But if you got the game, if you liked it or if you hated it, tell us why, and we'll be very happy to to comment with you. Adam, do you have anything on the gameplay, on the game, or anything?
Yeah, in terms. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm getting a little phlegmy here. Yeah, in terms of gameplay, what I had heard was that they were saying like Yasuke plays fine. The issue is that he seems to be in the wrong game. Like they were saying that like exploration. What I heard is exploration is actually pretty good, but one of the problems is that Yasuke can't climb, and so there's a lot of things that if you're going for discovery, he just simply can't access because he can't climb. And so they were saying that if it really feels like they were trying to design two characters for two separate games, and then just threw both characters into one game. But since it's an Assassin's Creed game, it favors the more assassin-y character than it does the more samurai character. But from what I've seen, people were saying if they had made another game and they were like, yeah, this is not an Assassin's Creed game, it's just a samurai game, then his gameplay would have been fine. It would have been great. But yeah, from what I've heard, since it is an Assassin's Creed game and the game kind of favors stealth, or at least people go in thinking they're going to want stealth and you're going to explore with climbing and that sort of thing, then he is at a bit of a disadvantage in that regard. But from what I've heard, his combat is actually pretty fun. So, but
I saw a few videos which were quite fun of because the lady is pretty small compared to Yasuke, of course. If she, like crawl on the ground, somehow the AI can't, with a lens, with the spears, they just can't touch her. I saw the door like, really? Oh, that's stupid. So that's gonna be patched soon enough, I'm sure. I really like the video, so it was very funny. Of course, people saying, yeah, Ubisoft just like throwing crappy Assassin's Creed every year, they're gonna lose money. Well, honestly, I don't think they're gonna lose money on this one. And I really want to, I'd love to play it whenever I will play it, just to compare it to Ghost of Yotei, which is gonna be out as well in a few months. And yeah, it's gonna be very fun to compare these two games because, very similar setting. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we have at the end of the day.
yeah, I think that's kind of the kicker here is that the game's doing fine. It's not doing bad. It's doing fine. But Ubisoft didn't need a fine game. They needed a great game because they're in kind of a financial issue right now. So if Ubisoft was not having their financial troubles, this would have been great. But the fact that they really needed a home run and this is like a double, a double's perfectly fine. In baseball, if you can hit a double, that's great, right? Hey, you got two bases, that's a great thing. But if it's if it's the end of the game and you needed a home run to tie, double's not. It's kind of a risk. It's not that great. It's not what you needed basically. So I think that's kind of the issue here is that it's not that the game's doing badly. It's just that Ubisoft needed a little bit more to really help them out. So they are looking at. I saw reports that they're looking at Tencent again, maybe working something out there. Korean was mentioning that they might look into selling off certain IPs. I'm sure they would hold on to Assassin's Creed, but maybe certain other IPs that they have, they might sell those off to other developers or other publishers. So we'll see what happens with Ubisoft.
Yeah, let's hope. I really hope that they don't keep firing people because like I'm in Montreal, Ubisoft Montreal is a big thing over here. That would be more people losing their job. I really hope that it's not gonna happen. But yes, Ubisoft is kind of in trouble at the moment. So we'll see. And with this, that's it for tonight. That was quite a 40-minute show. That's decent for us. Well, it's just the two of us. So let's finish by Adam. What's your schedule on the stream? Because as you know, Adam is on Twitch
Yes,
representing us.
Yeah.
So what are you playing these days? What's your schedule?
I'm still playing 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦, so I'll probably be sticking with that for a while. Might switch over to 𝙂𝙧𝙦. Actually, that comes out soon. Does it? The 28th comes out in a couple days.
Yes.
Soon, yeah, the reviews have not been great. People are saying it's a bit soulless and it's a bit stiff. Looks good, but a bit stiff, which it is in early access. But I'm still gonna get it, and I'll maybe experiment around with that. So maybe I'll do that a bit, and if that's not working out, then maybe I'll switch back to 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦, or let me see if I can remember the name of it. I don't remember the name, but Shadow Tactics. If you, I streamed I don't remember if I streamed Shadow Tactics, but I definitely streamed Desperados 3. And Shadow Tactics came out with a DLC. What was it called? Aiko's Choice. So Aiko is one of the characters in the game. So this takes place after the original Shadow Tactics. So this is a standalone DLC. You don't have to have the original game to play it. But I got that, and since it's a DLC, it's probably not as long as a full game. So I might switch over to that and play that while I'm waiting for 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦, which apparently the name's not great, but looking at the gameplay and stuff, I'm really excited for that. So I might switch over to that for a while, just until 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦 comes out. Maybe play a little bit more 𝙎Duality. Still enjoying that also, but that's having its own problems, so we'll see how much longer that lasts. But that's probably my plan for the upcoming week.
Perfect, thanks. So don't hesitate to log on Twitch. As soon as you see the Middle-aged Gaming is live, Adam will be your host. And with this, once again, if you could, share, subscribe, put a little thumbs up for us. It's really help. And I wish you good evening for us in Canada, or at least in the East Coast. Good morning over there for Adam in Taiwan, in Asia. And with this, I'll say see you next week. Cheers.